It is 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news in the stories behind the headlines. This is Story Conference. I'm at Lingao. Some stories we're watching this Tuesday, August 11. The impeachment trial of VP Sara Duterte continued today following a suspension due to the monsoon rains. And in the proceedings, prosecution witness co-auditor Silene Del Campo said Duterte and two other OVP officials are liable for the disallowed 73 million pesos in 2022 confidential fund disbursements. The other officials identified as liable are Special Disbursing Officer Gina Acosta and Chief Accountant Julieta Villa del Rey. Del Campo noted that the disbursements lacked supporting receipts and violated confidential fund guidelines. She also testified that the OVP used documents for expenses incurred from December 13 to December 18, 2022 to liquidate the 125 million peso confidential fund, even though the funds were released only on December 21. The expenses include a youth patriotism campaign, Christmas parties, and a Thanksgiving gathering. According to Del Campo, these were not allowed under the joint circular governing the use of confidential funds. The Department of Education remains the biggest recipient of the proposed 7.2 trillion peso national budget for 2027. DepEd gets a 976 billion peso allocation. The DPWH follows with 644 billion pesos, while the DOH is slated to receive 358.3 billion pesos. The 2027 spending bill also includes 107.4 billion pesos for flood control projects, including 19.6 billion pesos for capital outlay and ongoing foreign assisted projects. Budget Secretary Kim De Leon assured the public that safeguards are in place to prevent ghost flood control projects. The DBM turned over the proposed funding to the House of Representatives earlier today. The death toll from the combined effects of tropical cyclones Luis and Maymay and the southwest monsoon has risen to 19. 12 deaths were reported in Benguet, 4 in Rizal and 3 in Batangas. 15 people were injured while 4 remain missing. Meantime, more than 2 million people from over 600,000 families have been affected by the weather disturbances. Of this number, nearly 95,000 people are currently staying in some 919 evacuation centers. Infrastructure damage has also reached 1.4 billion pesos, while agricultural losses estimated at 135 million pesos. President Bongbong Marcos believes that flooding in some areas was not as bad as before, but acknowledges that more work needs to be done to address the problem. Marcos led an inspection in Las Piñas City earlier in the day, where he cited the resumption of dredging operations after a 12-year moratorium. The halt, he said, made rivers and spillways more shallow. The president also said government is now working to restore dredging as part of efforts to reduce flooding.
Hindi ganun kalala ang pagbaba, medyo nabawasan. Dati hanggang dibdib umaabot. Ngayon wala pa, hindi na hanggang kulang pa sa tuhod ang baha. At so effective naman ang ating ginagawa. Ngunit alam naman natin kulang pa rin yan. Marami pa rin tayong kailangan gawin.
And joining us today, Storycon's resident political... Ang gulo mo kasi.
Affected ka ng bagyo.
Our resident political pundit and our very own Padre Llamas, so Mr. Ronald Llamas.
Okay, better than Dalai Llamas.
Mas gusto mo yung Padre Llamas, so? Gusto mong Ronald Trump.
Natawa ako doon sa imbitasyon ni Archbishop Soc Villegas.
Tinawag kang si ano?
Padre Llamas o Dalai Llamas.
Pati si Bishop Soc
Nadamay na eh.
Oo nga, nadamay. Teka, ipasok natin ang ating editor-in-chief ng Philippine Star, si Ms. Ami Pamintuan.
Hi Ed, hi Ronald, hi everybody.
Hi, Abby.
Gumaganda na weather.
Yeah, we saw the sun come out kanina.
Pero kung pa rin,
Oo nga.
bugso-bugso pa rin ang ulan.
But not like
nga
yesterday.
Oo nga eh.
So,
Kanina,
some
oo.
improvement naman. So, may,
Naniniwala ba
Pero-
kayo? Huge improvement in flood control in Metro Manila.
Hindi talaga
Sabi
papalam.
na, tatawa eh.
Hindi papalampasin ni Ami yun.
ayaw talaga yan ng glass half full.
Hindi na papalampasin yun. Na-notice ko yun. Pero ang lawak ng bagyo From Benguet to, to
Yeah.
Batangas, Laguna, ang casualties Ganun kalawak Laki.
Baka dumadami pa ha, baka dumami pa yung casualty unfortunately.
Pero north to south halos buong Luzon yan
No. Tinatanong niya yung mga empleyado pala namin dito nung Sabado ng gabi, hindi nakauwi. Dahil sa baha.
Anong pinakain mo?
Wala ako day off ako.
Mas ang concern ko, anong pinakain
Dating organizer ko eh.
Nagugutom ka rin ba? Papakinig mo yun yung
Mag-organize ang
impeachment
union dyan.
kanina, puro pagkain. Ano?
Hindi,
Puro pagkain pinag-uusapan kanina eh.
kanina kasi kumakain ako sa Mamunlok.
Oh,
Biglang dumating si Boy Camacho, yung presidente ng RAM, Reformed Armed Forces Movement. Doon din pala siya kumakain. So,
Aling Mamunlok yung sa Quezon Boulevard, Quezon Avenue o sa Quezon Boulevard?
hindi Mamunlok yung pandyan, yung sa...
Kowloon.
Hindi, dyan sa Mega Mall, sa basement, yung parang Mamunlok, may something. Ang tawag doon?
Hindi Mamunlok
Mga
yun.
siopaw-siopaw.
Nasa SM.
Pero parang Mamunlok yung lasa nung siopaw. Siya lang yung pinakamalapit sa Mamunlok.
Talaga?
Doon nakatambay din si Kwan si Manny Mogato.
Pareho lang yung amoy.
Pati yung amoy.
Ng restaurant.
Amoy at saka yung
Mapanghi din.
lagkit ng sahig. Tapos yung
Di ba Dex
sauce.
yun, Dex?
Yung sauce. Hindi.
Hindi Dex yun.
Hindi. Si Mogs ang nagpasa
Ano kaya yun?
Basta siopaw.
M ang
ilalim
simula.
ng Mega Mall?
M ang simula.
M?
M.
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 Hem.
Nasa tip na ng kuwang ko
Kaya tinawag niya Mamunlok kasi.
Dahil parang Mamunlok.
Luma ng tindahan.
Luma na. 100 years old na.
Maxim.
May gamuli.
Hindi, ibig sabihin yung
Branch
pala
niya.
yung branch na yon, yung brand nila, 100 years old na.
Hindi
Parang-
Maxim?
Parang Mamunlok din.
100.
Parang Mamunlok din. Halos
Hindi ko alam yun. Akala ko nagutom ka pakinig nung nung impeachment. Mga puro pagkain pinag-uusapan. Ano yan? Mingo Mango. J.
Ay, yung mga
Kamote.
pangalan.
Oo.
Pati Jose Jokno, meron.
Oo nga.
Pati Jose
Pati
Jokno.
At saka yung ni Cheese, Escudero, saka Ongpao ko.
Sa Ontiveros.
Oo.
Nakita mo
Saka
Ontiveros?
Ontiveros, oo. Oo.
Ayun, Masuki. Yung
Ba't
Masuki.
Ha.
Masuki.
Kaya nga.
Masuki.
Magpasalamat ka sa viewer.
nasa tip na ng kuwang ko Sa tip na
Nagbigay ng tip sa'yo.
Hindi, kuwan na ako forgetful na ako
Yung isang nanonood sa atin, siya nagsabing masuki na ako.
Forgetful nga ako. Pati nga yung totga ko, nakalimutan ko na
Gusto mo pag-usapan talaga yan. We shall head there if you want that.
Sinabi ko na, nakalimutan ko na Para hindi na kailangan
Nagsisimula
pag-usapan.
lang eh.
Para hindi na
Nagsisimula
kailangan
lang
pag-usapan.
Our co-host, Regina Lay, is joining us in a little bit. Meron lang siyang interview, so maya-maya ng konti.
Nana, hindi naabot yun.
Pwede mo pagalitan mamaya, Ronald, pagdating.
Hindi naabot yun.
The late.
Hanggang alas 3
The
yung...
late.
3 o'clock yung interview niya.
Bumawi ka.
Mamaya, hampasin ka na pag dumating yun dito.
Ang problema, kahapon, dun sa Fireside Forum with U.S. Defense Undersecretary Colby, parehas kami nagtataas ng kamay, parehas kami hindi tinawag. Pati si Raisa Robles nataas na kamay. Kami tatlo tataas.
Pangguluro kasi kayo.
Wala. Hindi kami tinawag.
Manggugulo kayo. Alam nila, manggugulo kayo eh.
No, grabe yung alienation na naranasan namin. Hindi kami pinansin.
Nag-ghost din kayo. Para kayong nag-ghost.
Alienation.
Oy, nag-resume kanina yung impeachment trial, finally, at yung pangalawang auditor ay sinalang na rin kanina.
Oo nga.
What's interesting dun sa kanyang testimony is coming daw from dun sa OVP's office mismo kasi naglabas ng notice of suspension yung COA dun sa spending ng CF ng OVP. So, sumagot ang OVP at nilatag yung mga pinaggastusan daw nila ng CF, which include,
Yan na nga.
yun nga, may Christmas party, at may Thanksgiving gathering, at merong youth patriotism campaign. Among other
Saka
things.
ayuda giving.
Meron
Diba?
meron pang liquidation ako Yung liquidation nila bago nila nakuha yung pera. Yung yung kanilang report.
I mean, reimbursement.
Yung reimbursement.
Yeah,
tawa,
but yeah,
tawa ko lang tawa ron No?
kasi the expenses were supposed to have been done 11 ata, 12 and so forth of December, but the money was released only on the 21st or 22nd thereabouts. Basta several days later yung paglabas ng pera. And according nga to the joint circular of on the spending of CF and IF, bawal ang reimbursement. So doon may problema. Actually,
Nag-Intel gathering nga, di ba? Nag-Intel gathering para sa gift giving.
ikaw talaga, Ami.
Para sa ayuda giving pala, ayuda giving.
At saka youth camp.
Nag-Intel gathering.
Although
Para sa ayuda giving.
nag-post si Harry Roque all the way from Europe, ang sabi niya yung CF napunta raw sa ayuda at saka sa tupad. So ayaw ba natin daw 'yon
Kaya nga.
na at least hindi binulsa? Mas gusto ba daw nating binulsa yung confidential funds?
Galing talaga ni Harry sa
Imbes
mga
na mapunta
yan,
doon sa ayuda.
Ang galing ni Harry sa mga non-sequitur
So, I'm just telling you what Harry posted kanina sa kanyang Facebook page. Although on the other hand, this is what the OVP's office claims to have spent the money on. It did not submit any documents to prove that it did spend the money on these things that it claimed to have spent them on. In other words,
So ano yung report?
walang resibo. These are just acknowledgement receipts
Para sa information siya.
Oo.
Kaya yun ang nakakapagtaka. Information on ayuda giving.
So may ganung on one hand, medyo problematic yung allegedly pinaggastusan. On the other hand, wala rin namang dokumento to prove na doon nga ginastos sa mga problemadong bagay.
Hindi, pero kailangan
Hindi
ng
kasi
report
dapat
Kung wala kang report,
confidential.
kung wala kang report,
Yeah, yun ang talagang
parang mas masama pa nga yung walang report kaysa may report.
Oh.
this one
Saka
kasi
kapag confidential fund, hindi ba information? It's for information.
Yeah.
Hindi, gusto kasi malaman ng
Oh.
COA kung bahagi yan dun sa talagang pwedeng paggastusan ng confidential fund. Di ba? Halimbawa, yung mga sinasabi nila ng mga furnitures, hindi yan pwede. Yung mga grocery, hindi yan pwede, etc. So, dahil merong mga prohibited, kailangan may report ka para masabi kung ano yung pwede, ano yung hindi.
itong mga
Nabisalaw na nga daw.
itong mga lumabas dun sa impeachment trial kanina, this is information coming from the OVP to justify the spending in response to the suspension ng COA. So kumbaga ito na yung back and forth ng OVP saka ng COA. And this comes from the OVP mismo. So
Yung final say ng defense, nung natapos na, yun daw disallowance na yan, appealable pa until October. Yan ang sabi nila. Kasi 180 days. So they have actually until October pa daw to explain yung utilization yung mga disallowed expenditures na yan.
pero Bok, which one? Kasi you're looking at several tranches na disallow
Meron kasing 2022
Oh, yung 2022 yung yung 73 million na tayong na-disallow dun sa 2022.
Mahirap na yon.
And if I recall correctly, that
medyo
was
matagal na yun.
with finality na. Pinababalik na nga yung pera
Oo.
Di ba pinag-uusapan yung finality na yan? Baka daw,
Yeah,
inulit na naman nila na pwede silang umakyat sa Supreme Court.
Ibang issue naman kasi yung Supreme Court I mean, that's a different thing altogether.
Ito na naman tayo.
Pero as far as COA is concerned, pinababalik na yung pera.
As far as COA is
Yeah.
concerned, final na yon.
Oo nga. Hindi ba yun ang lahat ng auditor yun ang sinasabi? Kasi pag naghintay nga daw ng final ruling from our courts, di naman nila iniinsulto yung mga korte natin, pero At hindi naman nila sinabi specifically, but it could take up to 20 years eh.
O baka yung peso dollar, iba na. Baka sa
Kaya nga.
80 na yun. So, anyway, yun. Anyway, I did a quick look kanina dun sa sa joint circular of 2015 dun sa the circular that governs yung use ng IF sa ng CF in confidential funds. Ito lang, 4.8 on the use of confidential funds. Saan lang pwede itong gamitin? Number 1, to buy information for the formulation and implementation of programs relevant to national security and peace and order. Yun yung sasabi mo kanina, buying information.
Yeah.
The rental of transportation related to confidential activities, rental and maintenance of safe houses, again in relation to confidential activities, buy or rent supplies, materials, equipment for activities that cannot be done through regular procedures without compromising information gathering activities. Payment of rewards to informers. So, yun ang pwede mo lang pagkasusan ng confidential funds. At as we saw nga last week dun sa testimony ni, was it Camille? Wamil. Wamil, oo.
Roderick Wamil.
Yeah. Yung pagka-confidential ng pinagkasusan has to do with kung saan gagamitin o kung saan gagamitin. Hindi dun sa kung saan mo binili. So kung bumili ka, dapat may resibo.
Dapat may resibo.
Halimbawa, Christmas party is definitely not confidential.
Siyempre, kailangan mong gumawa ng guest list, ano?
Paano yung may Christmas party ng mga agent? Naisip mo yun, no?
Kukuha ka na impormasyon para sa guest list.
Pero kahit yun, hindi pwede. Pag nakalagay na Christmas party, palabasan mo na lang meeting, diba? Briefing, debriefing. Pero kung ilalagay mo Christmas party, bawal talaga yun. Uy, si Panelo, nandun pala sa likod, oh.
Okay.
Pasilip-silip, oh.
Oo nga. Oo nga. Kuminsan inaantok siya.
Ayun, photobomber, oh.
So yun. Anyway, we have a reporter there. If you wanna bring her in already, I think she's already here.
Sige.
Sige. So day 14 ng impeachment trial ni VP Sara Duterte, we have mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. Arles, kamusta dyan sa Senado? Anong story natin yan?
Bukod at Ronald at Ami, kanina nga simula pa lang meron na agad naging pahayaga ang kampo ng prosekusyon patungkol nga sa defense team na kung saan nga yung kanina yung medyo napag-usapan din yung in-indian sila ng defense team matapos nga hindi ito tumugon sa mensahe kaugnay ng pag-stipulate ng mga dokumento o yung mga acknowledgement receipts kaugnay ng ipinasa ng Office of the Vice President para sa paggamit umano nito ng confidential funds para sa taong 2022. At kabukod dyan, dito ay tinalakay din yung issue nga ng sino daw ba yung responsible officer or accountable officer pagdating sa paggamit ng confidential funds. Nandyan nga yung nabanggit, yung head of agency, si Vice President Sara Duterte, yung SDO o yung Special Disbursement Officer na si Gina Acosta at maging yung kanina tinanong yung napansin ng prosekusyon na meron daw magkaparehas na araw na i-disburse yung pera pero magkaibang lugar daw. Kaya ang tanong ni Attorney Lorna Capuna ng prosekusyon, si Superman daw ba ang SDO? Kaya nga yun yung kanilang tinatanong. At kabukod dyan, lumutang din yung tila pwedeng gumawa ng salad. Ayon kay Kapunan na mga pangalan ng ilan nakalagay sa acknowledgement receipt. Nandyan sila Paki Mengo, nandyan sina Matthew Queso, at nandiyan din yung iba pang mga viral na pangalan na pinag-usapan. May mga isda pa nga, may Pampano na apelyido dito. Ang punto naman dito ng prosecution syempre yung paraan o yung pinagamitan ng mga ito na kung saan yung nakalagay doon ay mga impormasyon na binili daw o yung iba naman ay supply na pinagamitan mula doon sa confidential funds.
So Arles, hindi pa nagtatanong yung mga senador, yung witness pa lang with the lawyers.
Yes, so far Bok nandun pa lamang sa bahagi ng presentation at direct examination ng prosekusyon yung kanilang witness na si Sailin Del Campo. No? Kanina inaasahan natin na magtatanong na sana for cross-examination ang defense, pero ipinagpaliban yan dahil kailangan na daw mag-session ng Senado ng 3 p.m. No? Para lang magkaroon sila ng 30-minute break and then session na. At yun, sinundan yan ng manifestation ni Senator Judge Mig Zubiri na sinabi na kung maaari nga daw mapalitan yung oras ng impeachment trial, gagawin ata parang alas 3 ng hapon onwards. Pero hindi pa natin sigurado kung 1 to sawa ba yan o may limit lang na hanggang alas 7 o alas 8 ng umaga.
Kasi magiging interesting yun pag nagtanungan na yung defense sa kay mga senador doon sa mga pinagsasabi ni Sailin, yung co-auditor, tungkol doon sa kung yung mga yung Christmas party, yung youth patriotism campaign, Thanksgiving gathering, if these all fall into the categories allowed by the 2015 memorandum circular.
Well, so far kanina Buked, ang nakita natin doon yung paggamit daw kasi nitong mga pang-birthday party, mga gathering at yung iba pang mga tree planting activities, no? Yung concern is parang labas daw ito doon sa petsa kung kailan dapat gamitin yung confidential funds, no? 21 to 31 kasi yung nakalagay na disbursement dito. Pero itong mga event na ito ay parang merong December 11 up to 18 na nakalagay doon, no? So hindi daw pwede na parang ipang reimbursement ito kasi parang yun yung lumalabas dito sa paggamit ng confidential funds, no, na ayon sa COA ay hindi raw pwede yan.
Klaro
Pero-
naman klaro naman Bok, yung tanong ng reimbursement kasi it's clearly not allowed pero ang masang tanong ko wala bang question dun sa ito Christmas party, Thanksgiving, tree planting na pinagamitan daw ng confidential funds, parang hindi dun sumento yung tanong, mas sumento yung tanong dun sa petsa, no? Sa reimbursement.
Hindi, mahalaga kasi yun
Mas
eh.
pet siya.
Yung mahalaga kasi yun yung petsa na yun. Dahil dapat alam nyo na hindi pwede yun. Wala pa yung
Correct.
pera Wala pa yung pera, nagastos yun na. No? Sa accounting rules, lalo na ng COA, bawal yun.
Yeah, I agree. Granted naman yun I was just wondering kasi mas striking sa maraming tao yung pinagamitan daw and this is information coming from the OBP, di ba? Itong pinagamitan daw. Parang mas striking for most people yung yun yung ginamit yung pera ng confidential funds.
At actually, Buked, meron pa tayong nakita kanina sa trial, no, na meron pang table na nakalagay yung parang accomplishment reports nito, no, pero hindi naman directly na i-link kung paano naging related itong accomplishment report na ito sa paggamit ng confidential funds, no, kasi yung parang nakalagay date, activity, and then yung naging result nito, no, wala yung mga specific daw ng mga operasyon na pinaggamitan nito, no, and magkakahiwalay ng mga lugar yung pinangyarihan yan. Merong mga Manila, parang may Baseco na narinig tayo doon kanina, meron din sa Davao and iba pang bahagi ng Pilipinas.
Harles, alam na ba ni Lorna Kapunan ibig sabihin ng ghosted?
Pinaliwanag ko ba?
Kung hindi pa man alam ni Atty. Lorna Kapunan, sana alam niyo na ngayon, no? Kasi kanina parang ang sabi niya in-Indian daw siya ng defense team, no, dahil hindi nga daw sumagot sa text message nila para nga i-stipulate itong libu-libong mga acknowledgement receipt. Pero ayon kay Presiding Officer Chis Escudero, meron naman siyang utos noon, no, na dinirect nga yung defense at yung prosecution na mag-set ng araw kung kailan yan, no. So hindi na daw dapat Indian yung tawag doon bago na
hindi
yun nga
pa
yung
Indian
ghosting
yun.
kasi hindi na
Ghosting pa lang
pinansin.
yun. Parang tayo, Indian tayo ni Regina Lay. Nandiyan ngayon sa Zoom. Kasama natin.
Andyan na siya.
Ikaw ba, Arles, ilang beses ka na ba na-ghosted?
Excuse me, hindi ako nag-Indian.
Ayan tuloy yun.
Ikaw,
Late lang, late.
Ikaw, Arles,
I was doing another interview.
Ayan o.
Hindi Indian ang tawag doon. Yun ang
ang tawag doon prioritization.
Naku, yun na.
ang tawag doon working overtime.
Okay.
Sige, kanya-kanyang spin. Kanya-kanyang spin.
Alam niyo si Arles, hindi niya mag-hit sa atin. Kakatanong niyo
Oo, ano yung tatanungin niyo?
Arles, ilang beses ka na ba na-ghosting?
Joke.
Magbibilang talaga.
hindi niya magpapalize sa atin. Sige kayo.
Mali yung tanong mo, ilang beses ng ghost?
Ay, hindi ako yun.
Who have you ghosted?
Okay. Change topic na tayo, baka kung saan pa umabot.
Oo, so umabot. Wait, balik dun sa trial. Reg, ikaw.
Oh, sige na.
Hindi, I just nagulat ako doon sa bagong listahan ng mga confidential funds recipients. And yun nga, yung tinatanong nyo kanina na what do you call it? Acknowledgement report.
Receipts. Yes.
Na hindi naman nakulang-kulang din.
Akala ko hindi na nagugulat si Reg. Nagugulat pa rin pala.
Oo, nagugulat pa rin sa'yo eh.
Nasa kuweba pa rin ako, di ba?
Nagugulat.
Nasa kuweba pa rin daw ako.
Maliban dun, Arles, maliban sa manifestation ni Mig Subiri, sino pang mga senador ang nag-manifest?
So far, Ronald, yung nakita natin, si Senator Pia Cayetano, parang sumagot lang naman doon no, sa manifestation ni Senator Mig Subiri na sinabi mas maganda daw kung mapag-usapan ito sa caucus no, at hindi daw sa Senate Impeachment Court no, dahil mahalaga na magtugma-tugma yung kanilang desisyon sa pagbago ng impeachment trial na oras, lalo pa at ang minority floor leader ng si Senator Alan Peter Cayetano wala ngayong araw.
Harles, wala din nag-extend daw si si Senator Legarda.
Yeah,
Nag-extend ng leave.
that's what I was gonna ask. Until August 12, is that right?
Ayan yung pumasok na balita, Reg, at kaya hanggang ngayon wala dito Senator Loren Legarda. Actually, siya yung isa sa mga pinakahinantay natin kanina kung present nga ba sa magiging roll call. Pero yes, wala siya dito at hihintayin pa natin ang magiging tugon dyan ng Senado kung ano yung additional information patungkol dito at syempre yung kumpirmasyon na direkta no, na kung pabalik na nga ba ito dito sa Pilipinas.
Sino yung nakatira sa kuweba na umaasa na babalik si Loren?
Grabe ka naman.
Sabi ni Ombudsman Boying Remulla, in between na babalik pa yan. That's
Yeah.
what he expects.
Babalik pa yan at may kasunod yun. May kasunod yun, Reg, unless gusto nilang bumuwi ng nakaposas.
Yes, exactly. But Arliss, you have breaking news as well. There's a complaint of grave threats against the Vice
Sa
President.
DOJ.
that
Sa
were filed.
DOJ.
Yes.
Sa DOJ, yes.
Ilang minuto pa lamang yung nakalilipas sa kinumpirma nga ng Department of Justice na kaninang alas 1:30 p.m. no, ay na-file na nga yung complaint for grave threats laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte sa Clerk of Court ng Quezon City Regional Trial Court. Hinihintay pa natin yung iba pang impormasyon dito mula sa DOJ pero ito yung umano'y naging pagbabanta sa buhay ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, First Lady Liza Marcos, maging ng dating House Speaker na si Martin Romualdez. No? Ang tanong natin din sa DOJ kung anong nangyari doon sa alegasyon ng inciting to sedition no, dahil ito yung magkasama na inireklamo ng National Bureau of Investigation.
Off-handbook, bakit mag-iisang taon na, ilang buwan na lang bago mag-isang taon ngayon pala nagsampa ng kaso sabi rin ng mga prosecutor malino naman daw ang ebidensya, it's all in public and it took them how many months to come together and file a complaint.
Akala ko nga nagsampa na dati.
Ako rin
Akala
Yeah.
ko.
O baka PI lang dati.
That's what we thought too, no? Kasi if you remember dito sa impeachment trial, prinesenta ng NBI na nagsumite na daw sila, no? Nag-comply sila doon sa hinihingi ng Department of Justice para ma-file yung reklamo na ito, no? At tumungtunga sa preliminary investigation that will later lead sa pagpa-file nga ng kaso, no? Pero years ago, kasi 2023 November, yung press conference and ngayon pa lamang 2026, no? Magno-November na naman, paparating na naman, pero ngayon pa nga lang ito, no? Pero syempre, ang panig ng NBI at ng DOJ ang mas makakasagot nito dahil so far sila naman yung sumusuri dito at sumisiguro na tatayo yung kaso sa korte at syempre yung ano pang mga impormasyon or detalye na kaangkla dito. Pero kinumpirma naman ng NBI noong pumunta dito si Director Matibag na tuloy-tuloy yung kanilang investigasyon kaugnay ng grave threats laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte.
Hindi ko lang alam kung meron ng jurisprudence dito and I don't know if you know but just in case you do know and just in case they have mentioned it sa DOJ. Siyempre, you're talking about an impeachable official, sinampahan ng kaso na kriminal sa Clerk of Court, RTC. How does this work now? Kung for example, kung hindi siya ma-impeach, tutuloy ba tong kasong ito o in suspended animation?
Well, we can be corrected, Bok Ed, pero ang alam natin kung ano yung nauna. So inaasahan natin na yung impeachment trial muna yung una na i-resolve and then later on no yung kasunod na yung criminal case laban nga criminal case if it's not mistaken no yung laban kay VP Sara. Pero impeachment trial.
Pero logical kasi pag hindi siya na-impeach, bali wala na yung kaso na yan.
Oo, until he steps down.
I think they can actually move simultaneously together. Kasi hiwalay naman yun. Impeachment is a political process. This is a criminal case. But who are the petitioners here? NBI ba?
NBI.
Okay. Very odd that yung timing nila is raises a lot of questions. Similar to ano yung inimbestiga yung kay Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, yung inimbestigahan nila na the SEA Games issue.
Yung Caldero.
Very interesting
Caldero.
na
Yung
na ngayon lang
yung organizing
pinapile ng
committee.
mga kaso.
May task force doon eh. May task force doon.
Ito kasi took them 9 months to decide
Pero normally, hindi ba, Ed, normally kapag merong ongoing impeachment, hindi muna pagagalawin yung mga criminal
Oh,
case.
hindi yung gagalaw.
Doon sa impeached
Yun yung alam
official
natin.
lang.
Yes.
Hindi yung gagalaw
Hindi naman
habang
doon sa
may impeachment.
senator judge.
Yeah.
Doon lang sa impeached
Doon
official.
sa vice president, di ang gagalaw habang may impeachment.
Actually, ang hindi ako klaro whether they should have filed already a case gayong hindi pa naman siya impeached or whether they should have
Pero-
waited until may impeach.
I don't
Pero-
think it has anything to do with it eh.
Pero pakicheck nga, alam ko nag-file sila ng panahon ni Santiago eh. Alam ko
Ah,
Parang,
si ano,
yung-
si
parang
Jimmy?
investigation.
Yung
Parang
grade
Ronald
threats.
ang nangyari ata nung nag-file sa DOJ.
Nag-uumpisa pa lang.
Yung umpisa pa lang, yung recommendation pa lamang.
Malamang complaint pa lang yun
PI,
ng DOJ.
alam ko PI yun eh. Oo.
Oo.
Yes.
So,
Pero
hindi
this
pa
one
siya-
kasi ay
ito-
RTC
ito
na
kaso
ng
to eh.
Quezon City.
Fact-finding muna yan. Tapos ibibigay mo sa DOJ, yung prosecutor ang magpi-PI.
Fiscal muna,
Sila yung
oo.
magpa-preliminary investigation. Ngayon natapos na yung PI, final na sa korte. Pero mukhang normally, yung judge ng court, trial court, hindi yan paaanda rin hanggat hindi natatapos yung impeachment. Normally. Kasi medyo magulo yan, no? Pero Arles, alam ba natin kung bakit wala si Senator Alan Peter Cayetano today?
Wala pa tayong kumpirmasyon, Ami. Actually, ang alam natin din, nag-start na yung session ng Senado. So, titignan din natin kung nandoon sa Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. Kasi so far, pinafokusan natin ay yung 14th day ng impeachment trial ni VP Sara.
Parang maraming problema sa Taguig eh.
Oo nga eh.
Ayun na naman tayo.
Oo nga.
Marami naman problema everywhere.
Meron din sa Cebu, 60 billion
daw.
pesos naman.
Correct.
Parang ang problema
That's why
ron,
pumunta si
daw.
Congressman Remulla, di ba?
Yes.
parang ang problema sa Taguig, hindi lang flood control eh, hindi lang ghost project, pati yung yung reclamation.
Reclamation nga. Reclamation. Magpo-forfeiture proceedings na daw ang Philippine Reclamation Authority.
Billions yun. ah.
Nag-initiate na.
Billions yun. Kung sino man yung investor doon, billions ang lugi ron. Tapos
Ang laki-laki ng reclaimed area.
tapos sa may pumasok din daw na insertion si Senator Pia.
Ayan ang hindi ko pa nababalitaan.
Parang may pumasok din at sinisimula na rin yata ang investigahan. So hindi lang si
Di ko alam yung
Hindi lang si Alan.
Hindi ko alam, Ronald, yung C6 ba? It's supposed to be a flood control dike, hindi ba? Yung C6 mismo,
Yung nakapalibot
kalye.
doon sa sa Laguna Bay?
It's a for flood control. Kaya nakakapagtaka kung bakit gagawa ka ng reclamation area for flood control.
Ha?
Ikaw talaga.
You guys have never heard of that technology?
Sabi ni
Amazing.
flood control dike.
Amazing, ha?
Okay.
Pag nakita mo yung Google Map, ang laki-laki na nung reclaimed area. Tingnan nyo.
Ang dami
Yeah.
yang
Laki-laki na.
ang dami yang sloping projects eh. Oh. Slow projects.
Okay, Bok, it appears that there has never been a criminal case filed against an impeachable official while in office.
Because of,
What has
because of
happened?
immunity.
After yan eh.
What has happened lang in the past was yung kay Erap, after he was impeached and then impeached and he was ousted from Malacanang, doon lang nagsampa ng kaso against him yung plunder kung saan na-convict siya.
Hindi, ang other officials, halimbawa Vice President, hindi siya immune from suit. No, impeachable siya pero hindi siya immune from suit. Pero pwede siya kasuhan, pero walang mangyayari sa kaso habang siya ay halimbawa, habang siya ay Vice President. Oo.
Nasa
Pero,
office, oo.
pero pwede siyang sampahan ng kaso.
Actually, pati yung immunity from suit ng presidente, that is not in any statutory, in any statute eh. It's only in jurisprudence. You won't find it in the Constitution or in any other law na merong immunity ang presidente. It's just jurisprudence, rulings by the Supreme Court.
Ito na naman yung mga learned, nagbibigay ng legal opinion.
Hindi ba nasa Constitution?
Hindi po. Immunity from suit?
Sa accountability, tingnan mo. I'm not sure.
Sige, I'll take a look
I
again.
think it's in the
I was
Constitution.
looking for it before eh. And ang nakita ko were references in Supreme Court rulings eh. In fact, baka that was in previous constitutions. Like in
Baka yung
1935.
Tingnan mo sa accountability.
Like in 1935. Yeah, I look it up again. But I looked for it before in the 86 Constitution, 87 Constitution. Wala eh.
87.
Mukhang tinanggal nila from previous constitutions. Like 1935. Anyway, sige.
I don't
Alis muna,
think so.
bitaw natin. Any more questions for Arles?
Saan mo pinagawa yung suit mo, Arles? Maganda. Maganda siya.
Sa kapatid ko to. Sa kapatid ko to.
Okay.
Ikaw pag si Arles, dinagpakita sa atin yan.
Ad hominem questions ni Ronald. I'm telling you, ayaw na ni Arles mag-live it sa atin.
Hindi.
But,
Mahal namin
kasi
si
ikaw
Arles,
with your top question.
Okay, Arles, maraming salamat. Teka. Last question. Bukas, bale, what do you expect tomorrow?
Tomorrow, Buked, ang inaasahan natin ay ang cross-examination ng defense patungkol dito kay Silene de Ocampo. And syempre, after noon, kung magkakaroon ba ng redirect and cross-examination and then yung interjection ng ating senator judges. At syempre, pakakaabangan din natin kung matatapos yan bukas at kung susunod na linggo ay ipatatawag na ba ang STO ng OVP na si Gina Acosta na nagsabi na siya mismo yung inutusan ni Vice President Sara Duterte na ibigay umano kay Colonel Chica, yung confidential fund na nagkakahalaga ng 125 million pesos. Sinabi niya yan sa House Justice Committee hearing.
Umasa ka pa, matatapos natin isang araw. Maraming tanong sigurado yung mga senador.
Sigurado.
Pero okay yung fitting ng suit mo.
Pero bukas yung focus nung kung pag-uusapan na bukas,
It's a rainy day.
kung
Dapat chill
magiging
lang kayo.
afternoon na yung
Ito
session.
kayong seryoso eh. Rainy day.
Bukas yan.
Aasahan natin, Ami, na may desisyon na bukas kasi yun din naman yung hiling ni Senator Pia Cayetano at syempre yung minority na kailangan din magkatugma-tugma yung kanilang desisyon patungkol dyan. Kasi ang point kanina ni Senator Judge Subiri tila 2 oras na lang yung nailalaan ng plenaryo ng sesyon ng Senado and then after nun aalis na sila. Mas mahaba nga naman kumpara sa parang nasa 4, 11, parang 4 o halos 5 oras na Senate impeachment court. And syempre, lalo pa na darating ang budget season, mas magiging madugo ang coverage at syempre ang trabaho dito sa Senado maging doon sa Kamara.
Tama.
Okay? Magpasalamat tayo kay Arles de los Santos at ang kanyang modista.
May payong ka ba? Ano dapat yung payong mo, terno doon sa suit mo eh?
Budista Taylor.
Di ba modista Taylor?
Budista is
Pagpasensya mo na, Agnes, gutom na. Gusto yan ng kape.
Okay. Sige, goodbye na tayo.
Yeah, Arles,
Matatapos tayo eh.
huwag ka papaulan, Arles, ha? Baka masipon. Pero may mga payong.
Pakawalan mo na.
May mga payong na ganyan yung...
Tama na po.
Tama na po, kawawa yung bata.
Okay. Thank you, Arles. You're watching Story
Thank
Tama na.
you, Arles.
You're watching Story on 1 News. We will take a break. We will be right back.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
We've got developing news in the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao. And of course, with us, Regina Lay. Sorry. Regina Lay and Ami Pamintuan.
Hindi ko mabasa yung prompter, Ed.
Ron Llamas, our resident
I'm
political
not there.
speaker. I forgot. Wala kang prompter pala dyan, no? Sige. We'll be having in a while si Amy reporting, I suppose, from the lower chamber. And then andyan na si Amy. Sige, let's bring her in. We have Amy. Amy, ano balita dyan? Amy Atienza.
Yes, good afternoon dito no sa House of Representatives. Ay kani-kanina lamang na witness natin no yung pag-turnover nga nitong 2027 National Expenditure Program ng Department of Budget and Management sa House of Representatives at nakita natin doon 7.2 trillion pesos yung proposed budget for 2027. At this is 6% higher than the proposed budget for 2026, which happens to be 6.73 trillion pesos. At nakita rin natin kanina doon sa panukalang pondo no, na ibinalik na yung funds for flood control projects amounting to 107.4 billion pesos. And ang nasabi dito ng DBM, 19 billion pesos will be allotted for the capital outlays para nga dun sa foreign assisted projects, habang 3 billion pesos yung mapupunta dun sa flood control program ng Metro Manila Development Authority. So inaasahan natin no na once na ma-turnover nga ito ay magsisimula na rin mismo yung magiging budget deliberations ng House Committee on Appropriations para matalakay kasama ng iba't ibang ahensya yung mga priority projects at kung paano nga ba gagastusin yung mga pondo para nga dito sa 2027. At yun nga, patuloy lang din naman daw na imo-monitor mismo ng House of Representatives kasama pa yung Department of Budget and Management, even the Office of the President, yung paggastos nga nito nga mga pondo para nga sa susunod na taon, given that the 2027 will be the last full implementation of the budget for the Marcos administration.
Mm-hmm. Amy, so tumaas ang 6% versus this year's budget. Pero I'm looking at the DepEd budget from this year and the proposed DepEd budget for next year. Bumaba. Malaki-laki ang binaba niya. At least yung proposed. Of course, baka magka-adjustment pa siya. Pero you're looking at what? 39 billion ang binagsak ng proposed budget ng DepEd. I'm wondering if anybody there knows why. I know this is coming from Malacanang, but does anybody there know
Hindi,
why?
pag kinuha mo yung breakdown, doon mo makikita. Ano yung lumiit, ano yung hindi.
Pero parang ang nasabi din dito kanina noong nagkaroon din ng press conference no, ay gusto pa kasi nilang ipagpatuloy yung mga ongoing programs and para sa naging planning process nga nitong Department of Budget and Management ay may sapat pa naman na pondo itong Department of Education para nga i-push through yung mga projects na nasimulan na for 2027 dahil ilan nga sa mga kabilang na projects dyan ay yung sa classrooms, yung school-based feeding programs na for them naman ay meron pang enough na budget at kailangan lang nitong particular amount, 976 billion, 976 billion pesos for the Department of Education, yung idinagdag nila para nga sa 2027. And yun nga, parang completion daw kasi ang gagawin nila for 2027. Kaya merong slight decrease doon sa budget, lalong-lalo na doon sa nakita natin in comparison, no, social services, medyo may slight decrease talaga compared to the 2026 General Appropriations Act.
Amy, yung budget daw for flood control is the lowest since 2019. May explanation ba?
Yes, lowest nominal value daw ito since 2019 and as per the rates, nasa around 1.9% lang daw ito ng national budget. So this is also the lowest since 1991. Ang nasabi nila dito, naging mas mahigpit yung vetting process pagdating nga doon sa mga proyekto na kinakailangan pa ng flood control projects. At itong budget kasi na ito ay tulad na sabi ko kanina, completion or continuation lang ng mga nagdaang projects kasi pangit naman daw na makita no na may unfinished flood control projects sa iba't ibang lugar dito sa ating bansa.
May konting kiskisan yata sila, yung mga House Prosecutor, saka si Benji Magalong, nabalitaan niyo ba yon? Nasabi ni Benji Magalong, meron din daw mga budget insertion, yung ilang member lang naman ng House Prosecution nag-push back si Terry Ridona. Anong sabi niya?
Yes, actually, nagkaroon nga ng statement din dyan si House Prosecutor at si Bicol Sara Party List Representative Terry Ridon at nasabi niya na parang challenge niya itong si Benji Magalong no na ipangalanan niya yung mga mambabatas nga daw na may budget insertions at binalik niya rin noong nakaraang months no na nagkaroon nga din ng issue ang ilang mga mambabatas pagdating naman doon sa flood control scandal kung saan na 67 congressmen daw ang dinadawit mismo ni Magalong pero para kay Ridon walang katotohanan yung nasasabi nga no na may budget insertions ang mga mambabatas dito sa Kamara. At the same time kanina rin nung nagkaroon nga ng turnover ng budget dito sa House of Representatives in-ensure din mismo ni House Speaker Bogie D at ni Committee on Appropriations Chairperson Mika Suwansing na lahat ng mapapag-usapan pagdating sa budget ay makikita ng tao in full transparency. So naka-livestream ulit yung mga budget deliberations, maging yung small committee ay hindi na talaga may babalik no at napalitan na nga din yan nung Bar C kung saan ito yung final na subcommittee kung saan napapag-usapan yung mga amendments at yung review ng budget na ipapasa mismo ng Kongreso pagdating nga ng kanilang final reading.
Sorry, Amy, what did you say? Bar C?
Bar C, Budget Amendments Review Committee. Yun yung nakita din natin last
Which will be
year.
composed of whom?
Members ito, no, Reg, ng mga miyembro din ng Committee on Appropriations. So last year, pinatupad na rin nila ito, no, dahil nga inalis nila yung small committee, nagkaroon sila ng Bar C kung saan doon mas napapag-usapan at nakikita yung mga kinakailangang amendments doon sa proposed national budget. So, yun yung naging system last year na plano nilang i-apply for this year.
So it's a small committee by another name.
Parang subcommittee, yung sinasabi nila.
It's still a small committee. That is what the small committee did before. Nagkaroon lang kasi ng pangit na connotation yung small committee and yung BICAM because of the flood control scandal. Kaya inabolish, but now we have a Bar C.
Tinagyan ng bagong pangalan.
Pangalan, no? New name.
But to Ed's point about the DepEd, no, in all seriousness, check the line items. Doon natin makikita ano yung tinanggal, ano yung dinagdag. And also, maybe check for other expenses like confidential funds, for example. I'm not joking kasi baka...
Pero yung amount na yun, Amy, that's the entire education sector ba yun o DepEd
Hindi,
lang?
DepEd lang yun.
DepEd.
DepEd lang yun.
DepEd lang.
Ang education
So, kung kasama
sector,
yung iba,
ang education sector,
education
kung
sector.
tamang intindi ko ang education sector proposal is 1.314 trillion for next
okay.
year.
Similar to last year.
Similar, to this year.
Ang this year, mas mataas ng konti. 1.345.
Mataas talaga siya.
Yeah. So similar to this year's budget. So pag sinama mo
Pero
yung...
bumaba siya, no?
Bumaba pa rin.
Bumaba.
1.345 now going to be 1.314. Of course, depending on the final outcome.
That may not necessarily be a bad thing. If Sani Angara has been effective, that should go down slightly.
Well, to Amy's point kanina, Amy, what were you saying kanina na the reason bakit bumaba ito is because many of the projects of DepEd are for completion na lang. Did I get you right?
Ongoing.
Ibig sabihin, nasimulan na,
actually,
so
yes.
kailangan lang tapusin for next year.
Yun yung parang naging collective term nila no for completion of the ongoing projects. So hindi lang sa basic education, maging doon sa iba pang mga agencies no na paglaanan nga ng budget dito sa 2027 NEP. Yun talaga yung long-term goal nila no na matapos yung mga kinakailangang matapos na programa at doon nga sa part ng education no ay kabilang nga dito yung pagsasagawa, pag-build up ng mga classrooms. Though makikita natin no, marami pa rin talagang kulang na classrooms. No, I think, if I'm not mistaken, nasa 163,000 yung classroom shortage na kinakailangan nga na 166,000. So yun yun yung mga projects pa na gusto nilang ipagpatuloy, pero ayun nga, meron talagang slight decrease lang din naman daw pagdating nga doon mismo sa sector ng social services. That is for the completion of the ongoing programs.
Well, I don't know if that's a slight decrease kasi yung DepEd budget is going down by 3.9%. Almost 4%. Basically. I don't know what slight is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saka gusto pang mag-recruit ni Sani Angara ng guidance counselors. Billion yung binanggit niyang budget na kailangan niya
So
for that
you
to
have
get
that
enough.
and you have so many classrooms pa to be built. May backlog na tayo ng classrooms.
But
Then again, let's see.
But also isn't diba, the private sector is coming in to help build some of these classrooms as well. So again, the devil is in the details. We really have to look at the breakdown.
Yeah.
The figure going down slightly is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the point is you have to be more efficient, right? Hindi naman necessarily dapat every year tumataas yung expenditure program mo, diba?
Amy, may
Guidance
binanggit ba
counselor
sila about mga ayuda
sa mga
programs?
congressman.
May mga natanggal ba o may
Huwag mo
na-retain o
nang
may
sabihin mo
lumaki
na
ng
diretso.
gusto?
Binubulong mo pa.
May nabanggit dito actually na social protection budget na gusto din nila actually pagpatuloy. Kabilang dito yung food stamp program, Dollar Integrated Livelihood Program, pati na rin yung Action Fund for the Overseas Filipino Workers. Meron din sila dito na technically projects na rin, no, kabilang yung pambansang pabahay para sa pamilyang Pilipino, Rice for All program, at saka yung improvement ng irrigation facilities at national facilities. And isa pa sa mga pinoint out din nila kanina, though hindi naman to technically ayuda, pero yung narinig din natin no, sa 5th State of the Nation address ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, pagdating doon sa transportation kung saan meron nga din silang pinaglaanan no, na budget para sa rail transport programs ng North-South Commuter Railway System at Metro Manila Subway. So yun pa yung mga abangan natin na matatalakay nga din mismo sa budget deliberations kung magkano din yung mga nakalaan for these particular programs.
To Ed's point, Amy, was there any mention of MyFIP, AIX, yung mga ayuda programs that generated a lot of controversy for this year's budget? Kasi remember also in the fifth SONA, President Marcos promised wala ng GL, guarantee letters.
Well, so far wala pa tayong naririnig with regards to that. No, most likely papasok na rin yan sa discussion kasama nga yung agencies concerned dito sa budget deliberations ng House of Representatives. So, tingnan natin kung ano yung magiging progress din mismo ng deliberations sa Kamara with regards to that.
Tsaka yung mga CF, tsaka IF, di ba? Anyway, sige, we will try to break down the details when we get them already. Maraming salamat, mobile journalist Amy Atienza, reporting from the House of Representatives.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Okay, Amy.
Okay, let's bring in our next guest. We have Public Finance Specialist Zaiza Suzara. Magandang hapon and thank you for joining us, Zaiza.
Magandang hapon, Ed, Regina, Amy, and Sec Ronald. Salamat sa invitasyon. Magandang hapon rin sa mga sumusubaybay ng
Magandang hapon, Zai. Long time no see.
Yes, long time no see, Sec.
Kailan kayo nagkita?
Dalas namin yan ni Mogs.
Talaga?
Ito, oo.
So, okay, ini-imagine ko lang kayo ni Mogs eh. Sino nakakatulog pag pinag-uusapan yung mga budget. Okay, Zaiza, okay, figures have come out. 7.2 trillion proposed for next year. We've seen some movements. 6% and all that. But we've also seen some movements. We don't have that much details yet. But what do you think of the movements that we've seen so far? Like in DepEd, medyo bumaba. May mga 39 billion ng public works tumaas, mga 100-something billion. D&D also tumaas, and so on down the line. When you look at the budget now as it is proposed,
siguro Saiza, simulan mo muna sa kabuuan bago yung specifics. Halimbawa, okay ba ito na bagsak yung ating growth rate, 2.3% going down, tapos tumataas yung ating national budget? So, tingnan mo yung kabuuan, tapos tsaka mo tumbukin yung mga specifics.
Okay. Sige. Salamat Ed, tsaka si Ronald sa tanong. Simulan natin dun sa macro fiscal context ng ating budget. So tama yung sinasabi ni Tech Ronald, no? Our budget is growing every year. So every year tumataas yan anywhere between 6 to 10%. So ibig sabihin dahil tumataas rin ang budget, tumataas din yung level ng inuutang natin. Pero ang hindi maganda ay for the past how many quarters, pababa ng pababa yung GDP growth rate yun. Bakit importante yung GDP growth rate? Kasi tinitingnan din natin pagdating sa fiscal program, yung tinatawag nating debt to GDP ratio. So, kung yung budget natin, tumataas siya ng tumataas rin ang utang natin, pero bumababa ang growth rate natin, it's an indicator at it opens up questions about our capacity to be able to pay our debt. Yan yung mga tinitingnan ng mga, katulad ng mga credit rating agencies, our development partners, at syempre yung mga investors lalong-lalo na. So yun ang konteksto ng ating budget. Politically, yung political economic side naman, itong 2027 proposed budget ay nanggagaling sa isang konteksto kung saan napakaraming budget anomalies the past years. So hindi lang ito last year, hindi lang ito yung flood control scandal. We are talking about a series of budget anomalies for the past 4 years, actually ever since the BBM administration started. So ano-ano yung mga yon? Ito yung mga lumabas na last year tungkol saan program appropriations, kung saan nililipat-lipat, essentially nilalaro ng Congress yung national budget tuwing nasa BICAM na siya para ma-accommodate yung kanilang pork barrel funds. Pangalawa, yung dahil ganun yung ginagawa nila, lumaki yung pork barrel funds nila, kinailangan nilang kuhain yung pera ng PhilHealth at saka ng PDIC at ng iba pang mga GOC. Of course, the Supreme Court struck down the cash sweep of PhilHealth as unconstitutional. So, portions of the money that were taken away from PhilHealth na ibalik naman ng national government. Pero tandaan natin, saan pa rin manggagaling yung ibalik? Manggagaling pa rin yun dun sa isang pot na nag-finance ng budget natin. So, ibig sabihin, posibleng dumagdag pa rin siya doon sa level na kailangan i-finance or kailangan nating ipangutang para lang mabayaran kung ano man yung kinuha at nawala sa mga flood control scandal na nakita natin last year. So that's the context of it. And then of course, economically, pinag-uusapan ito ng marami nating mga economists, yung shocks na naramdaman natin because the oil price spikes, the energy crisis because the conflict in the Middle East. So yan yung konteksto ng paparating natin na 2027 national budget. And when I looked at it, habang nakikinig ako doon sa press con kanina sa House of Representatives when the budget was submitted, three things came to mind. Number one, the proposed 2027 budget, although of course, mas malaki siya kaysa doon sa 2026 budget, ng 407 billion pesos daw, sabi ng DBM. So, the proposed 2027 budget is 7.2 trillion pesos. Gano'n nakalaki yung national budget natin. Yung budget natin last year, it's 6.8 trillion pesos. So, malaki yung itinaas ng budget natin. Pero kung titingnan natin yung latag niya, pagdating sa iba't ibang departments, tiningnan ko rin yung press kit na ipinamigay ng DBM, yung latag rin ng mga programa. Ang initial impression ko, yung 2027 budget ay very reactive. Very reactive siya in terms of wanting to address the short-term concerns of the public because of the economic shocks, dahil nga doon sa conflict sa Middle East. So, wala ng trabaho, meron ng ayuda, merong mga PUV drivers natin na kinakailangan ng subsidy para patuloy silang makapamasada. So, yung mga ganong klaseng programa yung makikita natin yun. Very reactive siya and it addresses the short-term concerns. Is that a bad thing? Of course not. It's necessary. But it's also populist. kanina pinapakinggan ko yung mga responses ng mga vice chairs and the chair of the committee on APRO dun sa mga tanong ng media, and they kept harping on transparency in the process. Kasi ito yung nawala over the years, transparency and accountability. And it led to really low trust in public institutions. So they're trying somehow to change that. Di natin alam kung substantively ganun pa rin. Maganda ba yung palalabasan? Kasi mangyayari pa lang yung budget. But when you look at the details of the budget, I think it's also very populist. Because as I said, marami sa mga bagay na pinupondohan niya, and even the messaging, quite populist. Kasi marami sa mga bagay na pinupondohan niya, tulad ng sabi ko kanina, yung mga pangangailangan ng mga tao dahil dun sa krisis na kinaharap natin. But one important messaging that struck me when I was looking at the AVP and the figures in the budget is that the government is really trying to pacify the tax-paying public kasi galit na ang mga tao. The subtext there is, eto, binibigay na namin yung para sa inyo kasi sa mga nagdaang taon, ang daming nawala from corruption, ang daming nawala dahil sa ghost projects. So, tulad ng sabi ko kanina, I just want to emphasize, hindi naman masama na mag-address ng budget ng short-term needs natin. Of course, trabaho yan ng pamahalaan di ba? Pero ang budget ay hindi lamang para sa short-term na pangangailangan ng bansa. Ang hinahanap ko kanina sana sa budget ay yung kanyang strategic thrust. Habang sinasagot na natin yung short-term, saan tayo dadalhin ng budget na ito? Anong future state? Sabi nila it's serious, but there was no discussion at all about the strategic programs and projects that government wants to fund. Siguro meron naman. It's just that was highlighted at this point in time. Siguro we're hoping lalabas naman yun. For example, when you say resilience, what kind of public investments do we need to fund in the budget? Ibig sabihin ba nito magpapagawa tayo ng mga na mas marami pang flood control? Ibig sabihin ba bibigyan natin ng iba-ibang suporta yung mga marginalized communities na nasa grassroots? Anong ibig sabihin resilience? Hindi ko pa siya makita because and ito na yung mga detalye na kung titingnan natin figures, wala akong nakikitang bago. And I'm saying this as someone who's been looking at the budget for the past 15 years. These are the same programs and projects that the government has been funding over the years. Masama ba yun? Of course, hindi. Kasi yung mga programa naman na nakalagay doon sa National Expenditure Program natin o yung proposed budget natin, base naman yan sa mga mandato ng mga ahensya. So, yun, siguro mga 90% of it old program. So, siguro, overall, yun nga, ang masasabi ko, 1, it's reactive. Number 2, it's populist. And 3, it's lacking in terms of the strategic trust. Of course, yung strategic trust nun, ano ba yung dapat na maging basihan nun? Unang-una, objectively, that's the Philippine Development Plan. Pangalawa, ano ba yung governance agenda ng presidente? Yung nakikita kong disconnect between the budget and governance. Because really, the budget is a governance. Hindi mo siya pwedeng tingnan bilang numero lang na, ito po pondohan namin. Ito malaki yung ibibigay namin for education, malaki yung ibibigay namin for health. Pero saan patungo yung bansa? Kung ito yung mga bagay na pinupondohan natin, saan tayo dinadala ng budget na pinupose ng president? So, I'll stop there for now para dun sa macro fiscal context, the political economic context, at yung first impressions ko dun sa mga nakita kong nulat.
But is it possible to reconcile what you have called the populist budget with the president's populist rhetoric nung SONA, where he proposed, for example, more exemptions dun sa taxes, an amnesty, and so on down the line, which of course would cost us billions as well in revenues?
Di ba, dagdag lang doon, Zaiza, di ba logical yung ganong klaseng populist budget with a populist SONA Dahil practically, ang natitira na lang sa kanya 1 taon. Dahil yung 1 taon is practically an election campaign period na. At wala kang masyadong magagawa doon sa structural problems. At dahil doon sa economic crisis natin ngayon, all things constant, talagang it will just be ayuda economics. Yun yung problema mo eh. Di ba? Hindi ba logical yun?
Logical siya, Sec Ronald, kung pagtingin lang natin sa budget from a political lens. But the reality is, the budget is also a technical document that is supposed to connect with the PDP. And when the annual budgets are prepared, hindi naman yan piniprepare na ngayong taon lang. Sa umpisa ng bawat administration, meron tayong tinatawag na medium-term fiscal program, meron tayong tinatawag na Philippine Development Plan, at yung dalawang yon dapat magkaugnay palagi sa taon-taon na national budget na makikita natin. Ngayon ang problema, yung fact na they seem to have given up on the fiscal program because in the previous year's budgets, napakarami na nangyaring budget anomalies. Hindi masyadong nagko-contribute yung government spending sa GDP growth. In fact, nakita ko yung konti ko lang nakita yung GDP figures, pero maliit talaga yung contribution ng government spending doon sa GDP growth natin. And that says a lot because when the budget is crafted, iniisip ng mga economic managers ano magiging contribution nito sa ekonomiya. Kaya nga tayo gumagasta bilang isang pamahalaan para may impact sa ekonomiya, para madala natin kung saan yung sinasabi ng administration na dadalhin natin yung bansa. So hindi ko pa nakikita actually kung ano yung mga bagay, yung mga strategic investments na hindi nila binitawan from the start. But as we know from the previous year's budgets, marami din sa big ticket and foreign assisted projects natin, talagang sila severely delayed kasi nga nalipat sila doon sa unprogrammed appropriations.
Sa last year pa pinag-uusapan na yung simula nung corruption scandal. Everyone's been talking about a more transparent budget process. Inulit na naman nila yan ngayon. Medyo komplikado yan dahil budgeting yan sa finance. Ikaw, kung ano yung masasuggest mo na talagang mararamdaman ng tao, mas transparent nga itong ginagawa nila ngayon. Ano yung gusto mo makita in the process?
Yes. So that's a very interesting question because I also did the open budget survey kung saan mini-measure natin yung level ng transparency, accountability in terms of oversight ng COA at saka ng Congress, pati na rin ng participation. Actually, you'll be surprised because based on the metrics of the open budget survey, we have very high levels of transparency. In fact, nagagamit na nga yan to redress all of the accountability issues, all of the budget anomalies. Pero tingin ko, hindi sapat na transparency lang in terms of live streaming the budget process pagdating representatives at the Senate. Hindi sapat yung nakalagay lang yung mga data sets na yung mga headline numbers, data sets doon sa websites ng Fiscal Oversight by Fiscal Oversight Agency, I mean DBM, DOF, and the Treasury, pati na rin ng DepEd. Ang pinaka-importante at base dun sa survey na nabanggit ko, the Open Budget Survey, where we are severely lacking is in the mechanisms for participation. And I think transparency can only be impactful kung merong mataas na level ng participation throughout the budget process. Unang-una, budget pa lang, pag-prepare pa lang ng budget, nandiyan ang civil society, nandiyan na ang vulnerable groups who can have a share of the pie, mababantayan from end to end. Nandun sila sa proseso ng pag-prepare ng budgets with the agencies. Pwede silang magbantay habang nagde-deliberate ang DBM hanggang sa papunta sa House Committee level, Senate Committee level, the plenary, both houses of Congress, pati na rin sa BICAM, and more importantly, kapag ini-implement na ang budget. Kasi, sa totoo lang, yung mga flood control issues, mga anomalies na pumutok last year, ang malaki nating problema kasi ay wala tayong transparency at participation pagdating sa phase ng budget na tinatawag na budget execution. Dito nangyayari ang relief fund, dito nangyayari ang procurement, dito nangyayari ang actual implementation. At nandoon ang maraming weaknesses natin. Idagdag pa natin yung phase ng budget na tinatawag nating budget accountability, kung saan nagmo-monitor at nag-evaluate dapat ang BBM, siyempre yung COA dapat nag-audit, yung legislative oversight dapat malakas din. Napaka-weak ng legislative oversight on the budget kasi hindi tayo katulad ng legislative sa ibang bansa kung saan pag budget season na, actually yung iba mag-separate pa ng mga hearings sa parliament na para lang tanungin, ito yung budget na binigay for agency A or agency B, ano nangyari sa budget na to? Ilan, for example, kung school building programs na may budget, halimbawa 10 billion pesos for 2026, sorry. Ano nangyari? Yan ang wala tayong ganong systematic na oversight mechanism. Dalawang bagay yung importanteng kailangang governance reform, participation, malawakang participation and throughout the entire budget cycle and accountability mechanism kung saan palalakasin ang oversight with civil society also participating in that process and reforming, of course, the way that Congress evaluates and scrutinizes the budget. Magagawa pa ba ito sa administration na to? I don't think so. But we have to start somewhere. Kailangan, dahil ang laki talaga ng nawala sa corruption, sa flood control scandal, kailangan simulan na yung pagkakaroon ng building blocks towards stronger participation. And of course, for the government, perhaps it could be a legacy of the Marcos administration, is to institutionalize spaces for participation and open government. So ngayon, meron tayong open procurement and government initiatives, pero mas maganda kung nakasentro ang lahat ng iyon sa budget. Kasi lahat naman ng ini-implement na programa ng pamahalaan, lahat naman yan papasok sa budget. Wala namang mai-implement kung wala sa general appropriation. Yun siguro yung malaking reform na dapat doon.
I'm not, Liza, I'm not one to speak for the government, but I think that's a really big ask. I don't know many governments around the world that allowed civil society participation dun pa lang sa crafting of the budget. So parang that's already a very tall order for the Philippines. But the reforms that they introduced last year, specifically under Congresswoman Mika Swansing, did that help? For example, the live streaming. For example, at some point during the deliberations, they did invite civil society members, and then it felt more transparent. Yung deliberations, yung horse trading part, wherein Congress, for example, wanted MyFIP, and the Senate did want MyFIP. So that part to us was a little bit more transparent. Did those help at least? And what's a reasonable thing that we can do now? I mean, you don't have much hope for the Marcos administration in terms of enacting big budget reform process reforms. But ano yung pwedeng, what's a low-hanging fruit that they can take right now to make it better?
I'll answer muna your first question, and I'd like to comment on participatory budgeting. Actually, participatory budgeting has been around for decades. And other countries begin their participatory budgeting processes dun pa lang sa pag-set ng macro fiscal targets, meaning how much will we spend for health, education, things like that. But of course, it's uneven across the world. But when we talk of fiscal credibility, many public financial management institutions say that that's the way to go. We do participate, but so we can increase the level of accountability of both the legislatures and the legislatures across the world and the executive offices. Second question about did the quote unquote reforms last year help? Well, I would say it tempered the unprogrammed appropriation. So I guess that's a good development. Pero the proof is always in what the budget looks like. What kind of budget did we end up with last year? It's not exactly a budget that's different from all the previous year's budgets. It's a budget that had a lot of pork barrel. It's just that it was transferred to a different item, program or line item in the budget. And when did that happen? That happened despite the live streaming of the BICAM. Because when there was discussion, they couldn't agree on how much to cut from DPWH. The live stream was cut off.
I remember that.
Was in an executive session. So, what's the low-hanging fruit? It's to keep the entire process open and transparent. So, wala yung mga ganyang executive sessions on how much cut from this agency, what should go to DPWH. Ahensya, of course, is DPWH, DSWD, and so I suppose for civil society, that's a more realistic ask, and open the entire deliberations also to civil society. I think right now, some civil society groups have actually been complaining that even mission of the budget, no civil society organizations were invited. So mahalaga yon para every step of the way they know that people are watched. And they know that civil society organizations do have an interest in how the funds are allocated for the different programs. And most importantly is for them to give feedback to CSOs. It's not enough that they're there in practice. Ang tanong kasi, anong ginawa ninyo after civil society intervened? Did you include the budget proposal? Did you even consider certain policies part of the special provision, general provision of the budget? So yun yung siguro important and easy enough for Congress, both houses of Congress, to do at this point.
You're saying they didn't take the feedback last year?
Well, it just passed the BICAM report and then eventually it became the GAA.
Ang sabi nila, Zaisa, nung government, yung increase na 6% or a bit more is meant to drive investment and economic transformation. From your vantage point, is there any chance that that could happen? Or is there practically a mismatch?
Actually, Sec, ang sabi ni Secretary De Leon in his speech is that a large portion of that 6% increase went to 3 mandatory obligations. 1, the salary increase of civil servants. 2, the increase as well in the salaries of the military and uniformed personnel. And if I'm not mistaken, yung mga iba pang mandatory obligations ng government. So sabi niya, parang like, I think 300 billion pesos of that increase. 300 billion of the 407 billion peso increase in the 2027 national budget doon napunta sa mandatory obligation. So it's definitely not towards strategic investments. The other concerning item that increased in the budget is the local government support fund. So ito 58 billion pesos if I'm not mistaken. That consists of three sub-programs. Number 1, the NTF LCAC budget, parang 10 billion siya. And then the financial assistance to local government units, 34 billion, if I'm not mistaken, and then the growth equity fund. So the growth equity fund, we hope it's rules based kasi the intention behind having that kind of fund is to equalize the development of LGUs kasi syempre maraming low income local government units who despite receiving higher national tax allotments still cannot afford to invest on basic services. So yun yung idea behind the growth equity fund. But NTFL-CAC is, you probably know that it's a remnant of the Duterte administration. Sabi nila, this is for quote-unquote peace and development. So, small projects given to the different barangays. Yung pinaka-concerning under LGSF is the financial assistance to local government units. And I think this is where the pork barrel funds of the legislators are now. It's definitely harder to track than let's say the things that went into the DPWH budget in the past. Why? Because this is a lump sum. We will not know kanino i-release ang mga ito until budget execution of the 2027 budget. So meaning at this point in time, walang listahan yan. And that's 34 billion pesos if I'm not mistaken. The implementation of that would be very similar to the PDAF regime. It's not, the only difference is technically hindi post-enactment intervention ang gagawin ng legislators. Kasi di ba in the past, yung PDAF regime, the legislators would propose and tell DBM, ito yung pondohan the projects, DBM release the funds. DBM will still release the funds in this case for financial assistance to local government units, but the discretion is upon the executive branch. So, mahirap siyang sabihin na para siyang PDAF na parehong-pareho. But that is where the pork barrel funds went in the 2026 budget during that break in the live stream of the BICAM. That is where they put everything that they took out from the DPWH budget. Will there be pork in the DPWH budget? Well, I think so. Hindi naman nawawala yung pork barrel sa DPWH budget. But I think the magnitude is lesser in the DPWH budget. Now, it's probably very likely split between financial assistance to local government units and some types of programs under the DPWH budget.
I think we should talk about that in, let's pull Zaisa back in another episode, talk about that kasi that's a particularly interesting thing that we've missed out on. Balikan natin yan. But sorry, we're out of time already today, but we'd like to say thank you kay Zaisa Suzara, Public Finance Specialist. We will bring you back for that particular topic. Maraming salamat, Zaisa.
Salamat, Zaisa.
Thank you, Saisa.
And thank you for joining Storycon today. Aming pamintuan ang bossing ng Philippine Star, Raul Llamas ang bossing ng mga political pundit, at si Regina Lay ang bossing ng mga principal.
What?
Just again tomorrow, 4 p.m. for Storycon. She is Regina Lay. I'm Ed Ligao. We are One News, your side all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.